There's a lot of things that I don't understand, obviously. I thought I had this overtime rule figured out. Apparently, you race back to the line if it's to white. Has it always been like that? When did the caution come out exactly? Was there a caution that came out? Or did they just end it because they wrecked? I don't understand shit. Anyway, I'm sitting here half asleep because the race was so engaging that I was just laying there the whole time, on that bed the whole time, and I haven't been up. I don't think I got up at all during that whole presentation. And it was really comfortable on that bed. I kind of wish that I didn't move now, and I just done the race review from there, just half asleep. But it was really engaging because I never did fall asleep. And I was thinking about it, but I never did. In any case, truck race. Easily the better of the two races. 3 races this weekend. There was just as much competition, I'd say, in both races. However, the truck race had a much better finish. When a field that is comprised mostly of brand spanking new drivers can pull off a final restart better than the Cup guys, then you know there's some sort of discrepancy going on, alright? Xfinity race was shit. Nothing else to say there. As for this race, I'm glad. It had all the makings of one of those classic races. If they had let the race finish, instead of wrecking like dumbasses, it might have been a classic finish. Instead, we get, oh boy, a caution finish. Joyous day indeed. So, where do we begin? Okay, so like it had the merits of a classic race because there was a lot of green flag. There was virtually no dumbass cautions for no reason. I had a really long green flag run. There were multiple leaders. There were multiple cars that looked like they were in contention for the win today. And the dominant car of the day didn't show up until about halfway. That is good. Having a world beater vehicle from literally the gun is the opposite of fun. Because the entire rest of the field is playing catch up at that point. When there's like an amount of cars, I think it started out with Kurt and looked like he was gonna pull away with the field, and once he was out of the lead and Kenseth was in, I don't think Kurt ever went back to the lead. So they have to. So the drivers have to, adjust to each other instead of just one guy who's running away with it the entire time. That's fucking boring. As opposed to what we saw today, which was far more engaging. Now, what else is there? That really about covers it. The idea of not having a dominant car for the entire fucking race and the lack of bullshit cautions. Overall, great race. Ass of a finish. 3 attempts at a green white checkered, It wasn't, not working. The second they changed from that at Talladega is the debacle to end all other debacles. And they try and amend that instead of just going back to what worked. I don't know what NASCAR's problem is with fixing things that aren't broken. For example, COT. For example, Bristol, repaving Bristol. That ruined everything. But I'm glad there were no bullshit cautions. Because that kind of shit is annoying. Haven't talked about fantasy commercials yet. I've yet to go any race where I've gotten a point for every sponsor. Sprint 5, Nationwide 5, Ford 4, Bud Light 1, and Pizza Hut jack fucking shit. They'll advertise that shit to death during practice and qualifying. Not a single hint of Pizza Hut when the race happens. Seemed a lot like Trevor Bayne. Bayne had a great qualifying run, didn't do shit. Stenhouse had a good top 10 run the whole day. I'm staring at this. Off to the side here. Look at this. Sponsor me, Goldfish. Anyway. Yeah. Looked like Newman was going to pull something off there at the end until, you know, what pulled off was the tire instead. So that was wonderful. Larson had a fantastic day of doing nothing. Speaking of Larson, how about that nice 34,000th finishing place out of 38,000 on DraftKings? Thank you, Ryan Newman, for getting a 24th place finish. Kyle Larson 26th. Casey Kane 23rd. Jimmy Johnson 1st. Got that one. Carl Edwards 5th and Eric Almirola 15th, even though he exploded into a fireball at the end. He still managed to pick up 15th. So, you know, good day for Eric Almirola. Yeah. Yeah. All in all, I feel like I had a little bit too high of expectations going into this race. I anticipated a stiff battle for the lead. I anticipated more of a Darlington-esque race. But this race, I think what we saw here today was more a showing of skill rather than speed. Because you saw it the entire weekend. Like, even in practice, those guys, they wheeling that shit. It's no surprise that Johnson won, honestly, because it takes a skill level that transcends riding around for 3.5 hours to actually wheel a car around. You know, going like this the whole time. Doing this for 3 hours, jacking off 2 dudes at once for 3 hours straight, you know? And without all those cautions, for that matter. That takes effort, and we'll see when we head on down to Vegas next week. That's a generally smooth surface. We'll see if we have a more Darlington-esque race, Kentucky-esque. This was more of a showing of skill rather than equipment, I would say, which is probably the reason why Clint Bowyer failed to accomplish anything this entire race. Teammate Michael Annett finishing 2 laps ahead of Clint Bowyer. Bowyer slower than the 7 of Regan Smith. The 98 premium motorsports car of Cole Witt. But hey, he won that exhibition thing on the Arena Cross race last night. So, congratulations, Clint Bowyer. Your first win in almost 4 years comes in a race that matters in 0 ways. Good job, Clint Bowyer. I'm so glad you're taking over for Tony Stewart in 2017. When Tony Stewart, with a broken back essentially, could probably blow you out of the water. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching this race review. I hope we're not going to see another truck race until Martinsville. A long time from now. So that's wonderful. But don't worry, we get to see Kyle Busch pace the Xfinity Series once again next week. So that should be just thrilling. And the sun has reached a point of no return, it appears. There's not a cloud in the sky, and yet suddenly it's night. Anyway, whatever. Expecting a lot out of next week. Truex got fucked again, yet again on a restart. And pit road a couple of times. But that is to be expected at this point. Anyway, yeah, so Las Vegas. Jimmy Tide Sr. Can we finally say he's better than Earnhardt now?